GameGaze Hub presents to you the top 10 banned things in the NFL. Just like these NFL bans, I ban you from not watching this video. Number 10. The in-game's tweeting ban. You see, on August 31st, 2009, the NFL strictly forbade players and their representatives from posting updates on personal Twitter, Facebook, or other social media accounts during games. They were even banned from doing so 90 minutes before a game and until post-game interviews are completed. The NFL even banned the attending media from providing game updates through social media, but that didn't stop Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver Chad Ochocinco from tweeting. Ochocinco was fined $25,000 in 2010 for violating this rule during a preseason game against the Philadelphia Eagles. Just 77 minutes before kickoff, Ochocinco tweeted, "Just talked with Kelly Washington, Deshaun Jackson, Jeff Pope, Hank Baskett, and I caught a ball from Mike Vick. I loved pregame warm-up." Seems Ochocinco was just too excited to remember that the time he tweeted fell within the specified window of non-tweetability. While I understand why teams might discourage players from tweeting updates and photos before or during a game, doesn't anyone else find this a bit peculiar? Imagine if Tom Brady tweeted a video of the typically reserved Bill Belichick delivering a final speech before the New England Patriots hit the field. The world would undoubtedly react. Given that some players have already done it, they seem eager to provide fans with a real inside scoop. But do you know what other banned stuff players like dishing out to fans apart from scoops? It's the spin. Number 9. NFL ball spinning ban. A player spinning the ball was one of the most exciting celebrations in the NFL, having been around for a while, until it was made illegal. Along with other acts such as verbal taunting, a salute, sack dances, home run swings, tremendous hulks, spiking, tossing, or shoving the ball, pointing, or prolonged standing over an opponent with provocation or dancing. I apologize, but do you genuinely find such features enjoyable and believe they improve the game? I think you do, and even if you don't, this guy does. The Dolphins' Jalen Waddle, who's been spinning the football to celebrate scores for 10 years, enjoys doing this a lot.
Down, number 2 for Waddle, and here comes the Waddle.
While I can see the NFL eliminating planned celebrations as a means to demonstrate support for opposition teams, I'm not sure who really suffers when a player decides to throw the ball violently to the ground. To be honest, the athlete who does it could be the most vulnerable. He could even suffer a wrist injury. And that's to himself. But what about injuries to the other player who's unaware of an opponent's substance use lifestyle? Yup, you heard that right. Some players use Adderall during games, or should I say, used to. Adderall is a substance that increases working memory capacity by prompting users to concentrate on the job at hand. But NFL players aren't as fortunate as the millions of other individuals who take it worldwide for conditions like ADHD with no repercussions. This is because players get suspended and banned by the league due to drugs discovered in their systems. But can we say it's understandable that Seattle Seahawks cornerback Richard Sherman believes half of the league takes the stuff after spending countless hours working out, watching films, and rehearsing? No, because obviously this is something Commissioner Roger Goodell was undoubtedly not delighted to hear. Players are only permitted to use Adderall for medicinal purposes if the league has given its approval. When a player fails a test, the league wants the NFL Players Association to commit to increase public openness and to specify the prohibited drug. This is because Adderall has emerged as the go-to defense for NFL players who test positive for a prohibited substance. Even though some players find it kind of an addiction, I bet it's not as addictive as the Terrell Davis's Mile High Salute. Number 7. Saluting into someone's face. Recall the group high-fiving Fun Bunch, the shuffling Ickey Woods, and the dancing Billy White Shoes Johnson? Well, in the NFL of today, their lively touchdown celebrations would be considered illegal. One of the most well-known touchdown celebrations in the NFL over the last 25 years is the Mile High Salute, but if it were performed in the direction of another player in a current game, it would truly draw a flag. However, players may still salute the supporters with pride and represent their country. Referees have to watch them carefully to make sure they don't go beyond and face an opponent, which would result in a penalty. But Terrell Davis would go on to do this at Super Bowl 32 after a touchdown.
Touchdown, Denver! Davis with the salute.
Terrell Davis's career was cut short despite his reputation as an unstoppable rushing back and the driving force behind the Denver Broncos' Super Bowl victories. What a thrill! Most players get thrilled by illegal substance use, but others spend time devising subtle means to derive thrills during games by using something the NFL never suspected until recently: asthmatic inhalers. Number 6. NFL's ban on asthma inhalers. Earlier, I mentioned the NFL's ban on Adderall, but they have undoubtedly taken it a step further. They prohibit the use of asthma inhalers. Remember those kids in middle school gym class who always had an inhaler handy? Well, it turns out that New York Giants player Adrian Tracy was one of them. He nearly faced issues with officials due to his asthma, which he diligently manages to avoid affecting his gameplay.
Because you have asthma doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be sidelined. I'm able to do what I love, which is play football, and I think, like I said before, the biggest thing is having an action plan.
Tracy's case is unique because it allows him to participate in the Stare to Care event, a cause close to his heart due to his personal experience with asthma. His ability to manage asthma while competing professionally stems from early education about the condition by his informed mother and his proactive approach to recognizing triggers and controlling his breathing. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Why does the NFL strictly regulate asthma inhaler use, especially for sufferers of the illness? According to many, these inhalers can provide users with a competitive advantage by increasing lung capacity. Consequently, sports like swimming and football, which demand significant effort, have chosen an outright ban on inhalers. I bet that sounds a bit dumb and dunk. Perhaps that brain teaser is necessary because players need a lot of it to successfully dunk, like this next guy. But did he get away with it? Number 5. The dunking ban. This is one prohibition that received a lot of attention this past NFL offseason when the league decided to fully prohibit players from dunking the football over the crossbar or the goalpost. As expected, it did not go down well with the sportsmen, particularly New Orleans Saints tight end Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham, a former University of Miami basketball player, once delayed a game by dunking over a crossbar and knocking it out of kilter. I mean, they should have given him some leeway. After all, you can't blame a person who was recruited as a basketball player for dunking. According to the rules, when dunking, the crossbar must be absolutely level and 10 feet from the ground, which is also the height of NBA hoops. Some of these players simply want to demonstrate their impressive hops, but the league does not appear to be impressed and will apply a penalty and punishment if a player does so. That's why the NFL penalized Colts running back Zach Moss $6,330 for dunking the ball over the crossbar after scoring his second touchdown against the Titans in October 2023. $6,330? That dunk must have been pretty expensive, and though Titans' Derrick Henry escaped that one, he couldn't escape the jersey exchange fines. Number 4. Ban on jersey exchanges after games. Hold up a sec. Just before you think the NFL totally banned this act of respect, just know it did not. NFL players embraced the custom of trading jerseys after games as a sign of respect and affection after it started in international soccer. Though more recently, the swap policy's been reviewed as players must now cover the cost of the jerseys when they swap them out, and those fees have gone up too. Now, when players exchange their worn-out uniform tops from games, they face fines of up to $500 and higher. If not, such expenses would most likely have to be deducted from the team's pay cap. That's how a lot of jersey exchange requests come in for Tennessee Titans running back Derrick Henry. I mean, it's laughable, especially as Henry is now more selective about who he trades jerseys with, because man, that fine can drain your whole signing amount, given the recent rise. Since the cost of trading jerseys varies per team, Titans players now pay more than $350 each shirt for their exchanges. Expenses and exchanges. Guess what comes next? Excessive. And since the NFL's involved, players often practicalize it on pine tars. Number 3. Ban on excessive pine tar use. Is anyone actually aware of the baseball regulation about pine tar? Really, why not just exclude it from the sport if leagues and umpires truly wish to assist in controlling the amount of force a player applies to his bat? Well, that can't be done because the NFL Rulebook Rule 1145 states, no article of any type may be placed on the gridiron or used in any manner to assist a player in the completion of a field goal and extra point attempt. That's just a fancy way of saying, hey dude, make sure you don't get caught. Therefore, it is specifically forbidden to use anything like pine tar to give the kicking team an unfair edge during an NFL game. I bet Hall of Famer George Brett now understands why he was thrown out in 1983 during a game. He had too much of the sticky substance on his bat. The Yankee Stadium was rocked when George Brett, a legendary player for the Royals, hit a possible game-winning home run, but it was called out for using an illegal bat. Later, in a follow-up interview, Brett says he remembers nothing more than trying to have a smoother handle on the bat by cleaning it off with alcohol. But you don't think so, do you? But the NFL doesn't care about what you think, even if your hairstyle is so cool to the point of helping you save a bad game with a touchdown. Number 2. A hairy touchdown ban. Actually, that title's a bit deceptive, because there's a lot more to a good touchdown than meets the hair. Granted, the NFL lets players get creative with a few things they get buzzing about and dye their hair crazy colors, but one of those things isn't a brand's logo. The NFL has a lot of rules, and one of the things I'm delighted they did away with was the worst haircuts you'll ever see. That was how Tim Tebow got a bull haircut that diverted the whole stadium's attention from the game to himself. If you look at some of these players, there's no possible way they're courting a girl with those kinds of hairstyles. I mean, look at that Tebow guy. He looks like a rat shaved into his skull. Not only were things becoming insane with these crazy cuts, but when the Broncos got a new coach, he felt like players were going nuts with it. That was why the team compelled Broncos players to have conventional haircuts from that point forward, and those lame-ass haircuts were outlawed. Thank God no one was wounded by them. Talking about injuries, many players could be wounded simply by a dangerous ball spike, especially if it comes from a guy like Gronkowski. No wonder the NFL had to ban the celebration. Number 1. NFL's ball spiking ban. The spike is perhaps one of football's most well-known and popular celebrations. However, because of the NFL's crackdown on celebrations in recent years, even this one has made it into the can't-do list. A spike play, which is officially an incomplete throw, stops the clock yet exhausts a down without gaining or losing yardage. That means that players like New England Patriots tight end Rob Gronkowski should legally be flagged whenever he does it. But umpires mercifully don't always throw them. I would want to assume that the referees are just being kind and seeing how ridiculous it is to suspend a player for spiking the ball, but I'm sure it has something to do with Gronk's monster status. But unlike Gronkowski, this other player nearly got grounded for spiking the ball in the oddest way imaginable. Though spiking after a touchdown is relatively allowed, doing so in the field of play after a down has ended would result in a delay of game penalty, according to the 2022 NFL rulebook. And there you have it, guys. Ban things in the NFL. Just so you know, we haven't banned you from liking our videos and subscribing to GameGaze Hub.